Welcome everyone to today's Process Optimization Academy session. It's Utah release week here at ServiceNow, which is every new release is always exciting for us. For those that missed it, we covered all of the enhancements to process optimization in Utah in our last Academy session, so you can go find that recording on the community site. Today, we're going to take a bit of a deeper dive into one of the important enhancements that came with Utah, process optimization for field service management. And I've got a special guest with me here today, Rob Schaefer, Director of Product Management from the Field Services team. He's going to lead us through that portion of the discussion, help us cover the content in more depth than I certainly could. And just a couple of logistical things. A reminder that we've moved the Academy sessions to once a month in 23. We're trying to augment the content in different ways this year. So we've released those use case series, or the use case series on the community, covering some specific use cases to help you get started with process optimization. So far we've released things like multi-hop analysis, rework analysis, channel analysis. I hope to get an on-hold reason analysis use case out there for you guys next week, and then another one around SLA analysis out there the following week. So if you haven't already checked out those use case posts, please do, and look for some new ones coming out shortly.
And comment on them.
Thanks, Rob. And let's quickly get the Academy logistics out of the way. So for those of you that are new, here, the purpose of these sessions are to help us all get better educated on ServiceNow's in-platform process mining capabilities. We'll provide how-tos, practical guidance, and use cases, product updates, and just as a group, exchange ideas and collaborate so we all continue to get better. How the sessions are structured and how they work is we have a scheduled topic that we usually cover for the first 20, 30 minutes or so, although I typically go a little bit longer, as much as I try not to. We then open it up for questions on that chosen topic for the session. Then we open it up for questions above and beyond the day's topic, sort of an office hours type environment. These sessions are recorded and eventually posted on the community along with the slides. And then finally, during the session, feel free to post your questions in the Q&A section. There'll be opportunities to come off mute, and I'll allow you to come off mute if for some reason you aren't able to unmute yourself later on. And then for the situations where we don't have an answer for your question immediately, we'll follow up and post them to the Process Optimization community page, or maybe we'll use them as a topic for a future session. Now, this is the slide that says anything we say and do here today can't be held against us in the court of law. It's also the slide that says, hey, as part of these conversations, if we make any forward-looking statements about what may be coming with future releases of ServiceNow, you should take them as forward-looking statements and make no decisions based on them whatsoever, because they're always subject to change.
I think I have the same slide.
You do. We can breeze through it when we get to your part, Rob. Now, just introductions. Many of you know me already. My name is Dan Grady. I'm part of the product team specifically focused on process optimization. But I do have a special guest here with me today, Rob Schaefer. And Rob, you want to take a minute to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I appreciate, Dan, you inviting me or haranguing me in to present. I'm the product management director for the field service product at ServiceNow. I've been with the company a little over 5 years. But I've been supporting field service organizations for a little over 30 years. So that picture is at least 10 years old, but it's probably about as good as you're going to get from me, so I keep it up there. I'm ready to take over at any time, Dan, unless there's anything else you want to say.
No, we've got a couple of other slides that we like to do before we get into the meat of the content here today.
Excellent.
So just from an agenda perspective, this will help you, Rob, too. We'll do a quick little process mining 101, as we always do for those folks that may not have joined us before, so you get a sense of the value of what process mining can do for you. And then I'll pass the ball over to Rob here to cover the deep dive on process optimization for field service management. He'll go through some slides. He'll do a quick little demonstration. We'll get your questions answered. And then we'll talk a little bit about how you could get started with process optimization and share some additional resources above and beyond what we cover here today. As always, the quick process mining 101 for the newcomers. So with everything we do, there's a design and desired path in our minds for how it should work and how things should play out, whether that be planning a a session like these academy sessions that we're going through, or a workflow. And when you design things, you design for both efficiency as well as completeness to provide the best experience possible for as many people as possible. Now, as you probably know, unfortunately, what we design isn't always what ends up happening in reality. The reality is that not all work flowing through a process is going to take the optimal path, and that's going to have a negative impact on the experience that both the employees requesting the service have, as well as the people that are actually working the process have. Now, identifying what is actually happening within our workflows and then improving them isn't always the easiest thing to do. What in-platform process mining or process optimization allows us to do is use the audit log data that's generated as records move through a given workflow on the ServiceNow platform to create a visual representation of what is actually happening within a given process. And this new level of visibility is going to help us accelerate our ability to identify inefficiencies, non-conformant process activities, and improvement opportunities. So process mining is going to give us the ability to answer process questions that historically have been really challenging for some of us to answer. So where traditional analytics will allow us to answer a lot of the what questions about what's going on with a given process mining is going to help us answer the whys. So things like, where is the process getting stuck? Where is unnecessary rework happening? Where are tickets ping-ponging between groups? Where aren't we conforming to the process that we've designed? And all of these things, they've been historically very difficult to answer and act upon. And now they're going to be available to our ServiceNow customers in just a couple of clicks. We like to say that process optimization is going to get you to the why behind all of those KPIs that you have on your dashboards. And in doing so, it's going to empower everyone in the process to make data-driven decisions. That alliteration is sometimes hard for me to say, about which improvements they should be prioritizing and making. All right, on to today's topic. So for those of you that aren't aware, process optimization has been available for ITSM, customer service management, HR, and App Engine workflows as of the Tokyo release. But in Utah, we've expanded the coverage to field service management. Our overall vision is to make process optimization available for every workflow on the platform. So if you're interested in applying process optimization to a workflow that we don't currently support, please let me know or post it in the community. That type of input is what we're looking for from our customers to help us prioritize which workflows that we should be focusing on next. All right, Rob, your turn. I'm going to pass the ball over to you now to take over.
All right, everyone. I guess I was jumping the gun a little bit early, but I'm excited to be able to share our story, our messaging with you as well. So to me, process optimization is just such a logical and obvious tool to support field service management. We already depend heavily on the audit log, the audit trail data, particularly in regulated industries. You think of medical device, financial services, oil and gas, telco. There are a lot of regulations that organizations need to follow, and being able to track the audit trail on different transactions is critical. When there is for example, an FDA audit, you need to be able to reverse engineer individual transactions. So that audit log is really powerful, and that adds so much value it's the foundation for being able to identify those processes, work through those processes, identify those gaps. So with that in mind, of course, I have the safe harbor for forward-looking statement. Dan has already covered that, so I'm going to go right into my presentation. So process optimization, as it applies to field service management, allows us to improve the operations of our service organization, the teams. It gives us visibility to those processes, just as Dan showed in that beautiful iceberg slide. What's beneath the surface? What are those delays? What are the bottlenecks? How can we connect our KPI trends to those processes, right? Traditionally, we we manage against our KPIs. We look at them. That's really powerful to be able to see them, and we can drill into them to some extent, but you're not really able to analyze them. So process optimization gets us to the 10th degree deeper so that we can support those processes, identify those bottlenecks, identify the root cause of them as well, so that we can implement the appropriate corrective and preventive actions at times to address those issues and improve the overall service operations. And Bill McDermott has stated how it's important to improve the customer experience, but it's really hard to improve the customer experience if you're not first improving the employee experience. So if you look at this slide for our field service business drivers, we've got those improving the customer and employee experience as our bookends. And within there, we're working on those things that are decreasing costs, increasing revenue, and kind of everything else falls within there. So by truly understanding our service processes with something like process optimization, by identifying the exceptions, the bottlenecks, it's a powerful way to make those across the board improvements to your service organizations. And when we focused previously, or we mentioned about how important it is to improve the employee experience on the right, let's think of those field service users, right? We've got the more back office operations people who set up our dynamic scheduling rules, our preventive maintenance plans, our territories, and our dispatcher who then manages the assignment of work and the team's schedules. And then the technicians and contractors and how we focus on reducing the administrative burden on those people. And here's just a smattering of some of the capabilities that help us support each of those. These are just features, right? But by implementing those features, by having processes that are optimized for those features to meet a business need, then in turn, we can start addressing an organization's KPIs, right? We can improve or reduce overtime needs, increase contract margins, reduce billing discrepancies, reduce travel costs and truck rolls, all the things that are critical in a field service organization. And by default, then we're improving customer set and net promoter scores as well. And if you could comment in the Q&A section if any of these service KPIs are maybe more important in your organization. Hopefully one or two of you will comment. And I don't know from this audience how many of you have a vested interest in your field service operations or not, but if any of these KPIs are important to you, please put those in the Q&A as a comment. All right. So to meet the needs of field service organizations to improve that user experience, to deliver on those KPIs, right? We've delivered our field service management solution to make that work easier so the teams can collaborate. The processes are optimized. Everyone can get the visibility they need to stay informed. So whether it's self-service and knowledge management and appointment booking capabilities, or the operations tools to manage your territories and define your scheduling rules, to integration with our project management, to supporting your contractors, to outsource work to third parties, to better manage your crews, to support the work order debrief process, all the way through to the analytics and predictive intelligence type tools. We support all of those processes within your organization. So that audit log can be really, really deep and just a ripe, has such great potential for mining that data and deriving value of that data. So with process optimization on top of field service, we can identify, we can correct and reduce those inefficiencies, we can reduce delays, we can speed time to resolution. Because by improving those processes, we're building a workforce that's more knowledgeable, more compliant, and more efficient. That means we're giving them the tools to speed time to resolution and get more work done each day. Improve the first-time fix rates, which means they only need to drive out to a customer location once. They don't have to go out there triage and say, oh, I need these parts, or we need a smarter technician. And then a second truck roll happens, right? So we can improve that or reduce the need to dispatch a second truck for a trip. And that improves both customer satisfaction and technician morale. And the result is a lot of those same KPIs that we talked about. But now I'm going to, I guess, get a little bit self-deprecating, right? I'm not a financial genius. I have a degree in journalism. So we're going to do some simple math from a simple mind. So let's say that we use process optimization, and let's take some assumptions that an organization has 400 technicians at a fully burdened rate of like 65, 70K a year. That boils down to about 56 cents each minute. Now, if we can prove out with process optimization that we can shave 16 minutes of work off each day, we can redistribute that work. And that's going to result in faster time to dispatch and resolution, more work done each day, reduced work order backlogs, reduced overtime, reduced SLA and contract penalties. But financially, again, simple math, this is just a Google calculator, 16 minutes a day at 56 cents a minute times 250 working days times 400 technicians is almost $900,000 annual savings just in that. That's not including what you're saving by reducing that overtime or reducing those SLA penalties. It's just by redeploying those minutes and getting smarter with those minutes that you're saving. So by doing something that seems so innocuous and so small, 16 minutes doesn't seem like a lot, right? You're saving, in this case, almost close to $1 million. See what I did there? I said close to 900,000, and now I'm saying close to $1 million. Pretty soon it'll be 5 million. All right. So to take that a step further, let's talk about what we're doing with process optimization. And in a few minutes, I'll actually be showing this live to you. So what we're actually doing then is we are looking at the types of data that is important to our organization, right? So for our organization, of course, in field service, we're focused on work order management. We may want to look at our projects, our cases, our incidents, problems, changes, the transaction type data, because that's where you're going to have those audit logs of that data. And from there, traditionally, we'd look at our performance analytics. We can view some of that data. And then with process optimization, we can go in and we can identify. We can identify where those bottlenecks are. We can get into that root cause analysis, find out the underpinnings, the underlying issues, and then act by deploying the appropriate corrective and preventive actions. And we have continual improvement management, which is a really strong connection from process optimization, right? This allows you to see what's going on, but you're not actually able to act on that data. How do you actually take that data that you've finally uncovered what's going on and say, well, we need to fix, right? Continual improvement management is that connection to allow you to actually do that fix. So again, if we look at that service operations data, and we can get more granular into things like maybe our maintenance plans and our technicians and our schedules, because there's data that we have about that, audit logs that we have about that as well. Now we can use process optimization to look at where those gaps are occurring, what the traditional paths are, what the exceptions are to those. Oh, I'm sorry, I went back a little too far. What those exceptions are, what the bottlenecks are, and drill down into those to identify the root cause. The root cause might be, hey, in a certain territory, we don't have enough crews, or we're too dependent on our contractors who aren't as knowledgeable on the process. And so from there, based on our root cause analysis, we might put into play the appropriate corrective and preventive actions, which might be as low-hanging fruit as, hey, update the knowledge base, or change a preventive maintenance plan to include a few additional steps. Or maybe it might be to deliver training or coaching or upskilling our workforce or realigning and redeploying the territories or changing scheduling rules, etc. The point is there are hundreds of different things that an organization can do to correct and prevent depending upon what that issue is. And to take it a step further into our continual improvement management, we have a workbench where you can say, here are, maybe from process optimization, we identified those root causes. And from there, we can actually create a continual improvement initiative. Maybe we want to reduce the amount of time it takes to onboard a technician. We found out that that is a significant process. Maybe we want to reduce our truck rolls by a certain percentage. When you do that, it will embed the performance analytics data on there. I've got it up above here so you can actually see down below the actual tactics, strategies, tasks that I'm putting in place to help address that. Here, if we're trying to reduce or improve the agent technician productivity time on their tasks, well, there may be some things we want to reduce travel. And to reduce the travel, we want to implement certain functionality. So here we're going to implement our field service radius-based scheduling. We're going to upskill the number of technicians by 20% on chillers, because that was something we identified in the bottleneck as well. We're going to implement task bundling as well. And over time, you'd be able to see these performance changes on a daily perspective. So as we are implementing, we can see how these numbers are improving or decreasing, depending. So again, depending upon what your KPIs are, what your process optimization findings are, you can put into place different things. So if it's like, our travel costs are an issue and we did some root cause analysis, here are some tactics we might deploy, etc. So there are a lot of different things that an organization can do. So those were just a bunch of words. Rob, you've been talking. I actually want to see this in action. So let's go into the demonstration. And we're going to start from a field service perspective, we're going to start with performance analytics. We look at some of the KPIs. We just want to know overall, high level, the number of open work orders, mean time to resolve them, the breach tasks, our agent utilization level. I don't have great data here right now, but breached work order tasks seems to be significant. It's been going up. So let's drill in on that, and it will bring us directly into process optimization. And it will give me some insight into, we can see that there's 156 breach records, taking 5 different paths, their average duration, their standard deviation, etc. And we can look at breakdowns by teams, so you can have different types of goals and KPIs mapped to this in process optimization. I'm going to take a breath, Dan. If there's anything that you feel you want to interject, let me know.
No, I'll just point out that you are using the Utah release, obviously, because field service management is available available in Utah. But you might be noticing that those goals and KPIs, that dashboard capability, the ability to embed specific platform analytics dashboards per project, is something that is new in Utah. Before we were providing some out-of-the-box capabilities for you or dashboards as part of the content packs, but you have much more flexibility now to control the dashboard content that you're seeing inside of the summary and insights page for any project that you're creating with process optimization.
Thank you. And as of 2 days, that safe harbor statement would have really come into play, because we would have been showing you featured product. As of yesterday, Utah is live, so we're truly showing you live current release functionality. So again, we went from our KPIs and our performance analytics dashboards, and from there we drilled in directly into process optimization to see some details that map from that KPI around our breaches. And within there, we might want to look at some improvement opportunities. Well, why are some of these breaches? Because some of them are taking longer than the 8 hours from start to finish from work in progress. right? Some of these tasks should not be taking 8 hours. Maybe just the time from open to assign them is more than 4 hours. So we're eating into those SLAs in that manner as well. So those are some improvement opportunities that we can drill into and do some root cause analysis on as well, and cluster analysis and all that fun stuff. The variation analysis shows us the different workflows or paths that our tasks are traditionally taking. And we can see that most of them, 93 of them, are taking this path, this more traditional path. It's just they happen to be taking a long time. Right? There's also bottleneck analysis as well that show us where some of those bottlenecks are occurring. And that's wonderful, but let's actually go into the analyst workbench and start mapping out, start identifying what some of those bottlenecks and gaps really are and what the root cause is. So I can open up my modeling options and I can say, well, let's look at all of those impacted activities, those tasks, those 156 or however many. Let's open up or expand the connections so that we can see. This is really that audit log. This isn't all the data. It could go farther as well if I expanded, but from opened or created into draft state, independent dispatch, et cetera, we can start seeing what those states are, the number of tasks impacted by it. We can hover on this and see the distribution of all of that as well. Now, we might want to start comparing. So maybe we look at, for the Northern California technicians, we'll just say, let's look at this data for just our Northern California technicians. And from there, maybe we want to compare that. We want to compare that to, we'll look at those filters and we'll say, well, let's compare this to the next largest group, the San Mateo Foster City technicians. And now as we start looking through this, we can start identifying and looking what the disparity is between these as well. So as we scroll down, and we can even expand our paths for each of these and get even more granular. And from there, we can actually look at some of the global metrics. And I believe this is configurable as well, Dan?
Yeah, those are just, we provide those 8 to 10 different types of metrics that you can see on the map out of the box. So the end user can choose which one is the more meaningful for the type of analysis that they're doing.
Yeah, okay. So from here, maybe we see some disparity from, let's say, pending dispatch to assigned, right? And we can look at here, it's taking an average of 1 hour, but here it's taking an average of, over here, 25 minutes, right? So this is the more efficient. Let's try to see what's going on. Has to do with when they're assigning it to the Northern California group. And so we can look deeper and deeper into each of these, and we can see that there happen to be a number of outlying records that are impacting this. So I can click and apply the filter on these records. So we've got that task running in the background. And from there, when that data returns, we can actually drill into, look at those offending or outlying records and see if we can get more meaning out of those records. And maybe the problem is those happen to be crew-related tasks, meaning we don't assign them just to an individual, we're assigning those tasks to a crew of 2 or more people, or a crew of 2 or more people and equipment that we have to find and sign. That's a little bit more complex than just assigning it to an individual. So some organizations will have predefined crews all ready to go. Others maybe haven't deployed crews or don't have enough pre-built crews, or might not have enough specialized equipment where do I find this now? Dan, the
sure. If you go onto the right-hand side of the screen, there's going to be at the bottom one there, the last one, you get your little clock. Those are the scheduled tasks.
Excellent.
So
I can view that result. We can see the filters that have applied and see the different chain details. And from there, we could actually go into the actual underlying records that are associated with each of these as well. So we've gone into just those 5 offending records, and we can see maybe who they're being assigned to. So I can select and say, show the records, or run root cause analysis or cluster analysis, or apply the transition. So I can look at those 5, I thought I said view, and it would pull up those 5 records, and I could see that in this case, those happen to be crew-related tasks that also require equipment. So the system is now telling me we need to be better at crew-related work. We need to build some static teams that include the equipment. We can identify, here's the common types of equipment needs, etc. So it's telling me what that result is. And from there, I can put in the corrective and preventive actions and assign people to create the appropriate crews within that particular territory or for that assignment group, our NorCal technicians. So we've gone from, yeah.
Sorry, Rob. I'll just pause real quick. I thought you were taking a break there for a second.
Yeah,
just for those that are joining us for the first time, you may notice as Rob clicks on some of these filtering options or these running the records, you see that it's kicking off a scheduled task. One of the things that process optimization is really good about is making sure that we do no harm from a performance perspective to the operating instance itself. So we're using the shared machine learning infrastructure to do some of this ad hoc number crunching. So it kind of frees the instance up. You don't have to be concerned about any sort of performance impact with process optimization. That's why you see those little scheduled tasks every now and then.
So here it gets me back to those actual records that are the offending records in this scenario. So let me go back to F11. Let me go back here. So from there, we start a improvement initiative. So continual improvement management. By the way, maybe I also put some commentary in this and say, do some @ mentions, at Beth Anglin. It appears we're having problems assigning when crews equipment needs are more complex. And then I would post that, etc. But from there, I would also create a continual improvement initiative. So here, I can say, I want to either link it to an existing continual improvement or create a new continual improvement initiative. From there, it would take the underlying report. I can build out the process and the justification. It would embed that report, and I can put together the appropriate tasks. Or maybe it's not even my job to say, well, here's how we improve it. I'm just here to say, here's what we've identified, and someone else runs with it. But that's really the process, running the gamut from performance analytics to process optimization, which is really the meat, looking at the mining that deep data of the audit logs, helping us identify those bottlenecks, those root causes, those opportunities for improvement, and then turning it into a continual improvement initiative, which, as you may recall, then embeds the report, allowing you to define goals and details and schedules and targets and the tasks to complete those initiatives, those improvement initiatives. So with that in mind, just as a reminder, right, we're using our tools, we're using process optimization to improve the overall service operations to result in things that are going to get us faster time to resolution, faster time to dispatch, getting more work done each day for each user type, whether it's our back office people, our dispatchers, our technicians, our contractors, to improve the first time fix rate, et cetera. And these are just some examples that you might leverage this for. So that's pretty much what I was planning on talking about today. I know I'm going to have Dan take over in a minute or two. If you happen to scan our barcode, there's a YouTube playlist specific to our field service management content. Here you can see just a couple examples. So if you take a picture of this from your phone, it'll bring you directly to this playlist as well. I'm leaving it up for a second, just in case anyone chooses to take a photo of that, but I believe we'll be sharing, I'm not sure if we're sharing this deck or the replay or whatever, but I want to thank you for your time. I'm going to stick around for Q&A. Dan, I'm going to turn things over to you. Again, my name is Rob Schaefer, Product Management Director for Field Service, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. So I'll just open it up. If you want to ask a question, and just put it in the chat or come off mute if you've got the ability to come off mute. I'll just go over to the participants and find folks that don't look like they're allowed to talk for some reason and unmute you. But anyone have a question for Rob or myself in general about process optimization? Give you a minute or two.
Or if there was anything in the messaging that you liked or didn't like. Was the ROI example valuable? Was the was the demo the most meaningful? Because I just talked a lot of gibberish up front, and you were just here to see it. Where would you like to see this go? Are there areas within your service organization that you could see using this too? So we may have a question. Let's see. No, we just Quentin had to drop. All right.
As we wait, Rob, I'll just let you know, I think one of the things that I found super valuable about your presentation was the piece of where you the slide or section where you translated kind of the inefficiencies to the potential cure. Right, the process optimization is really good at helping you identify symptoms or inefficiencies, but you also need to figure out then, once I have the symptom, what is the cure for that? How do I act upon what I'm seeing? So that, I think that slide that you had around kind of, hey, here are some of the actions you might take, whether it be in updating a knowledge article, applying some coaching, using some automation, using predictive intelligence to get cases to the right place the first time. All of those potential cures to the symptoms are really helpful for, and I know that customers are always interested in ideas around how to act upon what process optimization is telling them. So I appreciate you putting that in there.
Excellent. You know, I think of performance analytics as recognizing you have a problem, process optimization as recognizing what the actual problem is, what the root cause is, right? And then continual improvement management is that closed loop to take action on that problem, to correct, prevent.
Yep, perfect.
And there's no one in this space that's doing it. There are pure play vendors that do this, but traditionally, you know, I see us competing with CRM, to some extent, some ERP players as well. They don't do anything beyond the performance analytics type tools. There's no in-platform capability that they have to do this level of not just the process optimization, but continual improvement management. And I've presented this to industry analysts who, on both those capabilities, see them as groundbreaking in the field service space at minimum. So I'm excited to learn more from you, Dan, going forward, because this is new to me as well. I'm just trying to figure out what's going to be most important to my customers and prospects, and doing it based on their KPIs is probably just the start.
It's going to be, once you start, and this is for all of everyone, I think it's it's eye-opening for our customers and us every time we turn process optimization on for a workflow in the platform, is just to kind of see the reality of what's going on. I love watching customers see process optimization with their data for the first time. And then having those conversations about why some of the certain things might be happening. It's always eye-opening. All right,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Just by going through this, I started realizing, wow, there are questions I didn't even know I could ask. I didn't know that there were things that would that I could get to that level of detail. That it just wasn't in the realm of possibilities. And now that it is, right, my mind kind of hurts a little bit because there's so much there. Where am I going to begin? And I think that is going to be a double-edged sword for our customers, right? We're going to highlight, here are the improvement initiatives, right? But there's so much more, so much deeper that they can go. So they need to go beyond that. Where do I start?
The data will be useful to help them prioritize. That's the other piece of this is for a lot of customers, they know where their inefficiencies are sometimes, but they don't always have the data they need to help quantify and then prioritize which things to act on first. So that's another area of opportunity. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gonna kind of just start to wrap things up here today. Beyond what you learned here today, there's lots of other resources out there for you. One, there is an on-demand training called Process Optimizations Essentials available on the Now Learning site if you wanted to do some additional learning on your own. There's a really good Now white paper out there on the community site for you that walks through how we've applied process optimization here at ServiceNow. We've applied it to about 40 different processes at ServiceNow to this point. I've detailed some of the findings across maybe 5 or 6 of those. Really good Forbes article written by our Chief Analytics Officer, Vijay Kotu. You've probably found us via the community forum for process optimization, but if you've not checked that out, pretty much everything and anything you could think to ask around process optimization is available on the community forum. And if you don't find it there, please post a question. I check it every single morning while I'm drinking my coffee. We'll get you an answer within the first 24 hours of you posting a question up there. I promise you that. I mentioned the use case series earlier. There's 3 use cases out there right now. Multi-hop, rework, and ping pong. No, that's multi-hop, rework, and channel analysis are out there right now. I look to be adding SLA analysis as well as something around on-hold reason, which is a common use case we're seeing customers explore with process optimization. And then if you wanted to just dig into kind of what you need to do to get started in terms of turning on the plugins, creating your first project, there's a good live on Now session called Getting Started with ServiceNow's in-platform process mining that's available for you. Last chance for questions. Anybody got some additional questions about anything, not just field service management, but process optimization in general that you want to ask? Good. All right. Last couple of things. One, next month's session, we're going to be looking at kind of explaining root cause analysis capabilities. So as part of process optimization, there's a machine learning based capability called root cause analysis that shows you some of the leading influencers around some of the inefficiencies inside of a given workflow or based on a certain set of criteria transitions that you've isolated the map down to. I've gotten a lot of questions from customers around, well, how do I actually read the results? What is this actually telling me? So we'll spend, I thought it would be good to spend a session on explaining what the root cause analysis results were telling us and how to actually use them to take action moving forward. Then right now, Knowledge 23 is coming up in May. Right now, process optimization, there's 7 sessions that will involve or include process optimization in some way, shape, or form, as well as a demo pod will be available. So there's going to be lots of conversation around process optimization at Knowledge 23. So for those of us that won't be able to get there, or for those of you, because I certainly will be there, but for those that are not able to get to Knowledge 23 in person, I wanted to bring some of the content back, some of the conversation back, some of the insights back, and maybe just do a quick recap here as part of one of these Academy sessions to kind of spread the wealth that was there. And then after that, we'll focus in on, Rob talked about it here today. I think everyone kind of gets the fact that performance analytics and process optimization are a really good, better together story. So showing you and walking through how to configure the linkage between performance analytics and process optimization to help you tell the more complete story around where the opportunities are in your organization is something that I wanted to spend some time on. So those are the upcoming sessions. If you like these Academy sessions, there's no shortage of academies out there. There's a Platform Academy, a Virtual Agent Academy, a Platform Analytics Academy, and a Mobile Academy. So there's other places to learn more about other aspects of the platform out there for you. With that, I appreciate everyone's time. Rob, I just want to thank you again for taking the time to join us. You certainly have a level of depth around field service management that I could in no way, shape, or form come close to. So I wanted to make sure that you added that flavor and color to how process optimization can be used in that space. So
I could listen to you talk about me all day. Thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate the opportunity, and I feel the same way. I've got a long way to go to learn about process optimization, but I'm very excited about it as well.
Awesome. And for those of you that are watching this recording, if you've got any questions, things that weren't answered as part of this session, hopefully it generated some interesting ideas for you, please post them in the comment section of this community post, right? The recording and the slides will be posted on the community. If that's how you found this and you got additional questions, post them there in that comment section and we'll get them answered for you. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to chatting with you next month.